Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for today's video. It's officially time to bid adieu to a fabulous summer. We had a fast and furious and really hot few months of summer. It started off kind of cool and it's ending up super hot here as we transition into fall. In fact, we've got 90-degree days lined up for the next week. Whew. And then it'll start to finally really and truly cool down. It's been cooling down in the evenings. And so I have a transition into fall video for you today, where I'm going to share my favorite 5 milky fragrances and 5 creamy fragrances from my own personal collection. And I've got some really awesome videos lined up for you all the way through November into Thanksgiving. And I actually started to sketch out videos all the way through Christmas time. So just to preview some of the topics that we'll have in the fall videos on this channel, I'm going to do probably a combined chocolate and coffee video this year. I had separate videos last year that'll be linked below. A spicy fall fragrances video. We'll do caramel and honey again. I want to do a video focused on nutty fragrances like almond and pistachio and maybe chestnut, hazelnut also. And then I have a fall femme fatale vanilla video that's going to be super fun to film. I may fit in a marshmallow video and then I'll start transitioning into those winter types of videos as we get past Thanksgiving. So a lot of great ones lined up for you. I'll keep doing my monthly fragrance awards. I'll keep doing my purchase or pass and all of the other series that I do as well. So focusing on the video for today, I was thinking about doing like a separate milk video or lactonic fragrances video and a separate creamy fragrances video, but thought, let me just hit you with all of them at once. And so I have scoured my collection, including the samples that I've tried and all of that. And I think I'm bringing you my very favorites. So why don't we start off with the difference between lactonic and creamy, because I think they get confused on YouTube sometimes very innocently. Lactonic refers to milk or milky types of fragrances. So think about those as having a little bit of a lighter texture, whereas a creamy fragrance kind of leans over into a thicker territory. If you think about like ice cream or cream that you put in your coffee, maybe even like leaning on buttery over in that direction. It's thicker. It has the viscosity of the fragrance texture wise is just more dense, if you will. So I've picked out 5 milky and 5 creamy. Let's start with the milky ones. So I'm going to kick off with one that has maybe a lighter milk note than you'll see in some of the upcoming fragrances on this side of the video. And this is Molten Brown Milk Musk. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration. There's also an Eau de Toilette that's available on the website. I didn't see this on the website today, so I'm wondering if this Eau de Parfum concentration is either being phased out or just happens to temporarily be out of stock. I'm not quite sure. The difference between the Eau de Toilette and this one is that the EDT has more of a musky nature. This one leans more into the vanilla and milk direction. So the fragrance is mostly a light milk with some touches of resins, vanilla, and a little bit of sweetness to it. I can't really call this fully gourmand in that I don't get an edible nature from this, but it leans in the sweet direction a little bit. Like if you think about sweet being more of a feminine type of a note, and something being squarely unisex, it kind of leans in the feminine direction just a tad. It definitely has a muskiness to it accompanying the milk and the vanilla and the tonka that's in here, but it remains light, very wearable, easy, office appropriate type of a scent. Not loud, filling a room. I find it to be a more gentle, milky fragrance, and I enjoy these bottles, as I've mentioned before. They have caps on them, this whole line that looks like marble, which I think is really neat. So I like the design. I appreciate what this fragrance is trying to be, a milky, vanillic, slightly resinous, musky fragrance that I wanted to start off the lineup with. Second in the milk lineup is a fragrance that doesn't get a whole lot of shine on YouTube anymore. It had a moment maybe like a couple of years ago, but I still really enjoy this. And it is Remember Me from Jovoy. Remember Me from Jovoy. This is mostly, it's known as a tea fragrance, but one of the prominent notes or accords is this lactonic, like a thin, milky accord in the fragrance, accompanied by some beautiful spices, cardamom, a tea note. There's a little bit of citrus in the background. It's a nicely balanced, very cozy, uplifting tea fragrance. It's not like super in the warm direction, even though you'll see if you look it up on Fragrantica as having a warm and spicy accord. And yes, it does have some warmth, but the citrus keeps it bright, almost like ethereal in feel. It has some other bright spices like ginger. This is just a very bright, beautiful, spicy tea and a little bit of citrus fragrance, like I said, accompanied by a heavy dose of a thin milk accord that adds a touch of warmth to this. And it's a fragrance that I think is appropriate throughout the ages. Like this is one that doesn't feel dated. It doesn't feel overly mature. It's something I think can be worn easily by anyone of any age and across the sexes as well. Very delightful, very, very pleasant to the nose and pleasant to people around you. Remember me of the name too from Jovoy. I have a discontinued fragrance that is worth mentioning because it is just that beautiful. If you are a fan of lavender and lactonic notes together, this is Lavandes Trianon. Yes, I may be pronouncing that wrong. Give me some grace here from the Maison Lancome line. I just love this line. I have very many of them, not all of them, and hate that so many of them have been discontinued. What a gem of a line in these beautiful bottles. So this fragrance is, if you can imagine, just a pure lavender tea with milk in it. There you go. That's what's happening in this fragrance. There's something elegant and cool yet comforting about it, cocooning type of a fragrance. As it settles down, the vanilla in the fragrance comes out more to give it almost like a pillow that the milkiness and the lavender sit on. Some people have talked about this being like a lavender cookie. I don't get a whole lot of cookie out of this fragrance. Maybe there's something about the vanilla in it that makes people feel that way. But it is, and let me say this too, this is a unique scent. I don't know that many people will love this, but for those of you that are fans of lavender, you absolutely have to enjoy lavender because it is prominent in this fragrance. But if you can imagine this sort of sophisticated, okay, listen, did you have, or do you have, maybe you still have, the lavender sort of satchels that you would put in your drawers, or that you do, if you currently do this, put in your drawers to scent your drawers, you know, like your lingerie drawers or whatever, the white satchels that had the herbs, fresh herbs in them. This reminds me of that, probably because you see those mostly in like either white or off-white linen little satchels. And the white and the linen I associate with like a milkiness. So something about that, imagine that with a heaping dose of a milkiness and a vanilla. Those scents together are kind of what this smells like. Great lasting power, lovely projection. You only need a few sprays of any one of these bottles, as you see. I mean, I've worn this probably, I don't know, between 5 to 8 times since I purchased it a couple of years ago. And each time, just a few sprays takes me through the entire day. In fact, if you spray more of this, it gets a little bit cloying and sickening. So be careful with this. But if you can find this on the gray market, friends, any one of this line of bottles is really just beautiful. But this is a rare gem and a very, very unique fragrance. I don't have anything else in my collection that smells like this lavender, milky, vanillic beauty here. Next one up is an example, friends, of giving a fragrance a try. I ragged on this fragrance a little bit when I first purchased it, and something told me, just hold on to this, let it sit, let it come into its glory, try it again sometime, don't give up, don't sell it right away. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because I do really enjoy this now. This is Vanilla Milk from Ellis, Brooklyn. So let's take a minute to enjoy just the frosted, simple beauty of this bottle, and really all of the Ellis, Brooklyn bottles that are like this, that are frosted in different colors, are just so pretty. I really like the simplistic nature of them, the magnetic caps, really nicely done. Simple labeling, all of that. This fragrance, I just got to warn you, if you're not used to it, it feels a tiny bit like gasoline, or smells rather, a tiny bit like gasoline on initial application. Give that just a few seconds to waft up and away, and let the glory of this fragrance come out, which is one of the milkiest fragrances I've ever smelled. Beautiful vanilla in here, a really nice combination of those two. I describe this fragrance like smelling as though you had a bowl of, and it has to be Breyer's vanilla bean ice cream. Don't get the cheap ice cream. Get the Breyer's with the pure ingredients in them. When that bowl melts down after you're done, and there's the little bit of milky ice cream at the bottom, the smell, the nice sugary milky smell, that is what this is like. This does have some other notes in it, a little tiny hint of sandalwood, and I think a little chocolate and something else. Those things are so faint that I don't even register them. More than anything, this is like a melted ice cream smell. It's a very nostalgic smell to me. I enjoy wearing this to bed, around the house. Would I wear it out? Sure, and probably this fall I'll wear it out, but this is a nice one in the cool evenings when you just want to settle down and feel cozy and relaxed and have a little bit of a nostalgic bedtime comforting scent. Vanilla Milk, check it out, but give it a minute to settle on your skin, okay? And if you get a new bottle, give it a little while to sit on your shelf before you make a full decision about it. Then the last milky fragrance before we head over into creamy territory, and I share those with you. This is my favorite milky fragrance in my collection at the moment. Some people don't like this. It blows my mind because this is such, for me, my taste, an amazing fragrance. And it is Commodity Milk. This is the expressive one. The expressive one. It has there's like a close one. I forget what that's called. Personal maybe. And then there's a bold one. Spoiler alert. I'm going to talk about that one in a minute. But the expressive is the middle version of the Commodity latest Scent Space collection. And it has white on it, which means it's supposed to be the more moderate of the two. So the personal one is really close, almost skin scentish, personal bubble smell. Milk is, the expressive one is to be enjoyed by the people right around you. And then the bold one is like you're going to fill up a room with that scent. I feel like I fill up a room with this scent. This is a spectacular, to me, milky fragrance. Very, very truly milky, and has this beautiful added sweetness of like this marshmallowy touch. There's a sweetness. If there's not vanilla in here, I will be shocked. There's a definite sweetness in this fragrance that's just undeniable, a slight bit of woodiness, like ever so slight as a base, but more than anything, a milky, sweet fragrance, very feminine. This is long lasting for me, and I've sprayed this in the morning and have gone into the evening, like past dinner, and been like, dang, I still smell super good. And it's liked in this house. I do like these bottles. And I mean, look, some people they don't get with this. They think it's nauseating. Again, that blows my mind. I just think it is fabulous. A really, really beautiful fragrance that lasts. It's like the quintessential cozy sweater weather type of fragrance. Love, 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 love. Okay, so before we head into the creamy fragrances, take a minute to go down into the pinned comment that I have. I have a list of other fragrances that didn't make it into this video, but that I thought were worth mentioning. However, I haven't smelled every fragrance on the planet. I'd like to hear in that pinned comment, what else would you recommend that's not in this video or in the comment that you think is a great milky fragrance? Just like add comments in there so our friends out here can see what other options they might want to explore, okay? And then in terms of sampling, there's lots and lots of websites to buy samples and decants from. Lately, one of my favorite places to shop is ScentSplit, not sponsored. If you're listening, ScentSplit, would love a sponsorship. I don't have one, but that is one of my favorite sites because you can buy a variety of sizes. You can buy a little one, a 2 ml, a 5 ml, and I think 9 or 10 ml decant, which is like the size of a travel spray if you really want to test something out. Fantastic site. Lucky Scent is another one, except Lucky Scent, can we please sell something bigger than just those little 1 ml dabbers? Can we get into the 2 ml game at least? But they have such a wide variety of samples that's a great place to shop too. I've also shopped at Decant X and other sites. So anyway, just type in the fragrance that you want and then the word decant or sample after it into Google and see what sites show up that might offer you something. All right, so now we're going to get into 5 creamy fragrances. I love a good creamy accord in a fragrance. It just does something to me. It's the kind of thing that makes my eyes roll in the back of my head, the toes curl. I love a good creamy accord. And look, I might as well follow up Milk Expressive with Milk Bold. So this comes with the more gold bronzy labeling on it. What is the difference? This is even stronger than Milk Expressive, which I find to be a fantastic performer. This one lasts even longer, well into the evening, and projects pretty far out. And I feel like it's even deeper in terms of the sweetness. Obviously, this moves more from milky into creamy territory. So it's like a thicker fragrance. And this one has, I would say, not pronounced, but a noticeable woodiness to it. Whereas with the other one, it's far in the background. If anything, it's like a deep background supporting actor back in the corner of the stage. Whereas this one, I would say, is part of the lead gang. So if you think about like notes in a composition being part of a cast of actors on a stage, the creaminess here, the sweetness are front and center stage. And like right behind that, like right behind the lead actor, kind of hyping up. They're the hype man. The wood is the hype man in the background here for this one. Again, I find this to be absolutely a fabulous fragrance, very intoxicating. I fell in love with it last year, wore it quite a bit, and will be pulling it out again this year. You don't need a whole ton of sprays of this. I would do 3 or 4, or if you're crazy like me, just spray yourself on down, friends, and just live your best creamy, milky life. Again, this is one to test before you buy. Some people find this nauseating. They just don't do well with milky or lactonic notes and just feel like this is overbearing. But for me, it is A++++, and another plus on top of that, and several gold stars. Next, a fragrance that snuck into my top 10 last year because it was just that fabulous of an experience. It was a blind buy and one of my best blind buys like of ever, of all time. It is Shankwan from Xerjoff. One of the most spectacularly comforting fragrances ever. Super nostalgic scent. I wish I could tell you what it reminds me of, but I can't. But modern images that come to mind for me are something in the neighborhood of a spa smell, but that is creamy. So typically when people think of spa smells, they think of herbal smells like eucalyptus and spearmint and lavender and maybe some citrus notes if you think of spa oils. Well, imagine a spa that has something wafting through it that is a comforting smell rather than those energizing herbal types of smells, right? Something to sort of calm your mind and your heart. I don't know what the notes are because this is part of the JTC, Join the Club collection from Xerjoff, and the notes are vaulted, meaning that Xerjoff doesn't release the notes. Why, I don't know, but this is the most delectable, heartwarming, touching fragrances. It does something to me emotionally. I find it to be very creamy. Some might think this is a little bit more milky, but I feel like it's creamy. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it has some very creamy coconut milk, like a thick coconut milk, sandalwood, a definite tea accord, a really nice, gentle tea note. This is just so super delightful, and I enjoy wearing this. By the way, I'm a partner with Joma Shop. My link is below. If you want to try this fragrance, it was, at least recently, $99, which is a bargain for Captain Xerjoff over here on Joma Shop. So check that out. Check the link below and see if you can snag yourself a bottle of this. Even at over $100, it's absolutely worth it. If you like a creamy, tea-like, coconutty type of fragrance, this is beyond delightful. This is like masterpiece status for me. The next one is a little bit of a cheat because what gives it the creamy feeling is actually a butter note, not a technical cream or cream accord. But whatever, it comes across creamy to me, so we're going to talk about it. This is available on Lucky Scent, and I think that's the only place that I've seen it. If you know any other place to purchase this, drop it in the comments. It is a flanker of Jousset Accident à la Vanille, and this is the, okay, listen. I Googled the pronunciation, Madeleine de Proust, but I'm just going to say Madeleine de Proust, okay? I'm going to Americanize it. Wow, if you've tried Accident à la Vanille, by the way, which is an absolutely delectable, luscious, juicy, beautiful vanilla fragrance. And I think it has caramel in it, doesn't it? Something sort of sticky, ooey gooey. In fact, I want to pick up the regular Accident à la Vanille? I think I might. But anyway, what sets this fragrance apart from the original peach, apricot, and coconut. So it has a really sweet fruitiness that for me comes across almost bready. There's something so delicious about this, like bread laid out with some kind of really sweet jam. Oh, I just love this. This is so, so delicious. Definitely has that accident à la vanille, accident à la vanille DNA. That really beautiful, really sweet vanilla along with that added just yumminess. It is like gourmand heaven if you're into that sort of thing. Very creamy feeling to me. Buttery. It's butter. So it's like a buttery feeling, but we're just going to call it creamy for now in terms of like the affect that it has on your, I was going to say on your tongue. I was going to say the affect it has on your tongue, like I'm tasting the perfume. I mean, in terms of the olfactive affect that it has on you, how it comes across texture wise, very, very thick and creamy and just almost cloyingly so. Like it's bordering on being so yummy and so thick that it's right on the edge of being like, whoa, for me. Some of you who are not into gourmands are definitely going to think that this is like way in the cloying direction. But for me, one of the most beautiful vanilla and I say fruit, but when I think of fruit, I think of usually berries. And this does not have a berry smell at all. So if you think about like the thick sweetness of really ripe apricot or really ripe peach, and take off maybe the fruity edginess and just think about like the sweetness of it. I'm not really describing that well, but wow, just absolutely buttery, luscious, like a thick, bready, fruity. I'm gonna stop now because I'm gonna make myself hungry. Check this one out. They don't have samples on Lucky Scent right now, unfortunately, of this. So maybe one of those other sites that I mentioned earlier would have a sample or a decant, but delicious. Did you think I was going to do a fragrance focused on milky and creamy fragrances without talking about this beauty that took YouTube by storm over the past year? Liquid Imaginaires. Yes, I know I said the name wrong. Bear with me. Blanche Bete. Wow, this fragrance. Well, look, some people hate this. You know who you are out there. I'm looking at you. Y'all hate this. You think it's cloying, nauseating, all of the things. But for those of us that love this kind of scent profile, this is like sheerly divine. It's not sheer, it's actually a pretty thick fragrance, but it's purely divine. The thing about this fragrance, and the reason that I have it over here on the creamy side, some people would put it on the milky side because it does have a really prominent milky note along with vanilla and muskiness, a little hint of floral in the background, that tonka bean that just makes it just so delicious. The reason I have it over here is because for me, as I wear it on my skin, I feel like the fragrance thickens during the day in terms of, again, that sort of olfactive texture that I feel as I sniff it. I feel like it gets deeper and thicker as the day goes on. One of the most divine, creamy, vanillic, sweet, slightly floral smells that I've ever laid my nose on. Really, really lovely. Pierre here joked around about how these bottles look like chess pieces, or this looks like a crown or something. I can't unsee that. I don't especially love these bottles, so I have to agree with that. I don't dislike them. But anyway, the fragrance inside, if you like a milky and or creamy fragrance, and you like something that is sweeter and more feminine, not sweet in the gourmand direction. I don't think it gets like that. It has a more sort of simple vanillic nature to it. And all of that is really balanced out by a heavy dose of musk. And I wonder if it's the muskiness that makes people more nauseated than the creamy aspects of this. I don't know, to each their own. Like, let me know if you've tried this and it nauseated you. Can you pinpoint what about it you felt was nauseating? I think that might be helpful for people trying to decide if this is a fragrance that they would be interested in. I'm gonna round out this video though with probably the creamiest fragrance, well, besides Milk Bold, in my collection. This next fragrance, some of you might be surprised to see in this lineup. I think it is simply divine. It is Ariana Grande. This is Cloud Intense, or the 2.0 version. I like the original Cloud, and that has a little bit of milkiness to it. Not enough for me to have put it in this video. Really great fragrance. This one here. In terms of creamy fragrances, you have to enjoy something in the neighborhood. You know what? I really, now that I'm sniffing this, am thinking that this is almost like the summer version of that Milk Bold. If Milk Bold leans in the winter direction because it's heavily sweet and marshmallowy and has the woody aspects, this one is like the summer playful version of that. There is a very creamy accord in here, and I don't know if it's a whipped cream note or if it's the coconut or what. Who cares? The point is, it smells very thick, very creamy to me, very much like the original Cloud, except amped up with like a va-va-voom, grown woman, almost nighttime flair to it. This is just divine. It does have some of the muskiness of the original Cloud, but more than anything, I find this to be very creamy, very coconutty. It has a little bit of an aromatic touch from like a soft lavender way in the background, a slight woodiness. Divine. Great performance, great projection. I feel all kinds of fabulous when I put this fragrance on. So probably right now today, my favorite creamy fragrance in my collection, other than that Milk, is giving this a run for its money. So what did you think of my top 10 milky and creamy fragrances? Is this a category of fragrance that you enjoy or that you stay away from? Tell us everything in the comments. And again, if you didn't hear something in this video that you think people should know about, please drop it in the comments. I know that you all read each other's comments and we enjoy the dialogue down there. So help a sister or a brother out and let us know your favorite milky or creamy fragrance so we can check it out too. Take care, friends. Mwah. See you in the next video.